Good evening. Welcome to the Oswick and Minnie's podcast, episode 1. This is our first podcast of probably many, many weeks of podcasts. I am Oswick, and we are joined by.
Me. I'm Minnie.
And we also have guests.
Yeah, we have Granny.
Hello, darlings.
Finn.
Well, hello there.
And Fenris.
Good evening.
Yeah, so lots of fun, lots of people.
Yes, and today we will be talking about our hobbies and our fandoms. Clearly, as shown as by the thumbnail, the furry fandom is one of them. But we do have many other fandoms that we are part of, and we are here to talk about our experiences and how they've affected our lives, and any advice that our experiences given, and we can impart onto you guys.
I mean, we should probably start off by saying that we are all united here as being from being part of one fandom. I mean, we're all we have one thing in common. We're all furries. All of you listening, you're probably majority of you furries. Sorry if you're not.
Not all of us will be furries for listening to this at this rate.
Well,
we hope so, at least.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, just one more thing. A quick word from our sponsors, the WLTM Transport blog. This is the blog that covers the changes in London's transport. Visit the WLTM Transport blog at www.wltmtb.co.uk.
I'm actually going to check this out right now.
Yeah, let's check it out.
Tell me how good it is. I'll check it out later.
I spelt it wrong.
Well, it's been running for 7 years.
WLTM.
Yes.
www.
Apologies for the aborted start. We were late by about 2 minutes due to technical difficulties.
Right, but you know what? Let's get back into it. Let's start by talking about fandoms and just.
Hey.
First of all, I mean, we're all furries. How did we all get into the fandom? Does anyone have any I mean, it doesn't have to be very long, just like a quick.
It's already fun.
So, would you like to kick us off, Granny?
Oh gosh.
How did you become a furry?
Anime.
It's a valid reason. Valid reason.
Back in the 80s, basically.
Oh, jeez. I wasn't even alive. I'm a youngling.
Back in the 80s? The rest of us weren't born.
Yes, I know.
And we were all just eggs and sperm.
A gleam in your daddy's eye.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, that's about right.
Right.
Yeah, it was for me. It started with anime. I probably it's things like Tenchi Muyo back in the day, Sailor Moon that had a lot of strange furry undertones. And then I kind of just Googled it, and that's where we went from there.
Nice, very cool. What about you, Finn?
Right. Well, I've only been in the fandom for just over a year now, but
Very recent boy.
Yeah, I'm usually a very busy person, and then after I did A levels, I didn't know what to do with my life, so I turned to YouTube, and I was on YouTube all day, and one of the recommended videos was a Claude Frost video where I had like 13 fursuiters in the room. And I remember
I've watched that one. It's literally the best video of this channel. It's hilarious.
I remember my sister talking with some friends about furries, and relating them to the CSI. That's CSI.
Oh gosh, that
really
CSI
until I actually explored it. And then a week after watching YouTube videos, like I was looking at Popping Furs and whatever on it, and then I moved on to Nino. And then nice. That's how I joined.
What about you, Fenris?
I found the app Amino.
Oh gosh.
Yes.
I was watching I was watching a heavy metal YouTuber by the name of Jared Dines. He said about Amino. I found it. And then one of the recommended things was furry, and I've heard of it in the past and on the internet, and I thought, oh, you know what, I'm just gonna have a look, see what it is.
Stick your head in.
And
Dip a toe.
I dipped a toe, and someone dragged me under, and here I am.
Someone? Who?
You.
Me! Of all people, it has to be me.
But
Yes.
no, because one of the first chats I joined was the UK Furs Overflow.
Which was my chat at the time.
Back in the old days.
Oh god, the memories.
Yeah.
Right, Oz, how did you get into it?
Ah! This is slightly longer and convoluted, but the short answer is through friends. The long answer is I had been I had some friends in a different fandom, which is my other noted fandom, which is includes some of the things that I have been streaming on this channel.
Transport.
Buses, trains, planes, that sort of thing. That's been going on throughout my entire life. And from there, one of my friends from there decided to introduce me to some of his friends. He was slowly dipping his toes into the furry fandom, and he introduced me to to some furries. They seemed to be good people to talk to, and it was just so I could gain more friends after a social rift had happened at the time. Then I was being told about the Apamino and just generally trying to meet other people. And when that happened, I eventually got a new phone in December, joined Amino, and since then I got sucked in by all of this. Yay!
All of this.
I know that little bit of thing is sarcasm. In all seriousness, though, it's been a great time. I've met so many people. I've met so many new friends. I am doing this for the start.
You met me.
And yeah, it's all good. And finally, the person who started this topic, Minnie, how did you, small bean, get in there?
Actually, it's quite almost the same as Finn, but a year prior. Because I've been a furry for just over 2 years now, which I honestly don't feel like it's been that long. But when Kiro the Wolf got really big from Shane Dawson.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
God.
back in that day.
Back in that day, I watched. Well, I don't think I was watching Shane Dawson actually. I think I was watching a completely different YouTuber because I don't watch him. But and it came up in my recommended, and it was just this Shane Dawson doing this furries interview. I was like, ooh, that looks fun. Let's look at that. And then I was like, ooh, I like it. And I watched more and more and more and more on YouTube, and then just was like, yeah, I like this. This is for me. And I just and then eventually, after about 6 months, I found Amino, and I found all of you lot, and I just kind of grew from there.
I feel sorry for you.
Oh, cheers.
Same.
I really appreciate your
Especially
sorrow.
You found us.
I
You found
all
me
of you,
specifically.
and my life went downhill. I'm joking. It's only gone uphill. I love you all. I love you all.
But yes, and of course, our starts in the fandoms have been totally different. I mean, the furry fandom isn't the only fandom that we are part of, because we have our own fandoms that we have, because obviously we are individual people. Duh.
Yeah.
And I mean, personally, I'd say that the furry fandom for me isn't necessarily the largest impact that I've had, but it has the biggest social impact. Due to
I'd agree with that too.
due to the social aspect of it. However, each fandom is different, and there are different aspects that you can pick and choose from. My main fandom, however, is obviously dealing with buses and trains and aircraft and possibly infrastructure at this point, which dictates the kind of games I'm currently streaming on here when I'm not streaming this. I got into that through let's be honest, my granddad bringing me to Ephro when I was like a really young kid. It's like one of those things where my granddad was into aircraft, but not as much as I am now. He He took me to EFRA when I was young, and it sparked an interest, and it's led all the way through to this point where it's actually influenced what I study and what I do. And the people in there, some of them are good, some of them are bad. But you get that from every fandom. You also, because I've been in that doing this for so long, getting photos and stuff, and with that, it's allowed me to grow my other skills. So, for example, photography, and just systems, working out how to get to places, which does mean that some of these lot ask me for directions.
Hey. Yeah.
All the
I've
time.
definitely been known to text us being like, "Can you find me a nice train ticket?"
Oh yeah, that's the
Please.
usual thing. But
For like training advice.
Yeah.
Was.
Yeah.
that's a whole different
any
podcast
kind of
episode at this
transport.
rate.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
We'd be
In
going for
itself.
hours.
But yeah, and it's actually quite curious to know that how do, for you guys especially, how does your experiences in other fandoms help you in completely separate fandoms that you're part of? How do they interlink? How do they work
Also,
together?
this is like an essay question.
None
It's 300
whatsoever.
I feel
words.
like I'm sat in front of my French paper.
Well,
So
I am
in
your
what
French
way
paper.
does the book
Pourquoi?
move
Oh,
you
God.
emotionally? I'm like, oh my gosh, do I actually have to write like what is it?
Basically,
40 marker on why does this book move me emotionally? What?
but how?
So guys, how do your fandoms change you physically and mentally?
I think
Yeah.
out of everybody, I've probably got like the more wider range of fandoms that I've been in. So
Go for
I'll tackle this first.
Go for it. Take it away.
So, like originally, I joined the furry fandom and sort of the anime community back in 2006, and my first convention was in 2007, and that was a convention in Scotland called Okinawa. And sort of, I knew what furries were, but I came from a background of like anime, and I sort of went from anime. I sort of jumped from anime, and originally I was a Lolita. And for people that don't know what that is, it's elegant Gothic Lolita. So they're big floofy dresses in the sort of Rococo and Victorian styles. And
wait, this sounds cool.
Yes.
How did I not know about this?
It's very, very, very expensive and very flouncy.
Okay.
So for me, I started with Lolita, and some of these dresses can cost like thousands and thousands of pounds, and that's just for the dress. That's not like your, the socks, the shoes, the petticoat, the head accessories, the wigs, the makeup, the bags, everything else.
A lot of accessories.
A lot of stuff. But people always say, like when they're talking about drama within the like the furry community, I'll always say there ain't no drama like Lolita drama. Like that fandom sort of set me up and allowed me to to appreciate that other fandoms have drama, but nothing is as bad as Lolita's.
Oh gosh.
And yeah,
I changed my mind. I'm not joining.
Yeah, they're pretty scary.
They
then
scary.
From Lolita, I then jumped into the BJD fandom, and BJD stands for Bull Jointed Dolls, and they are a type of I suppose you call them like kit dolls. You buy them blank, you do them up, they're customizable. And again, BJD people are absolutely terrifying. And then from
like Warhammer 40,000.
Yeah, they're really, again, they're absolutely terrifying. And then I went from BJD back into anime, and then from anime into the furry fandom. And by comparison, the things that I've learned is like from Lolita and anime and the doll hobby is just really how to talk to people, how to approach people, and to settle confrontation in a very amicable way. But for me, like the furry fandom, like what Oswald was saying, I have, in all the communities that I've been in, the furry fandom, they are the most. There's this big sense of family. There's a big sense of family. There's a big sense of community, and I genuinely feel that. I genuinely believe that this fandom, we do try and look out for each other, and I've never had that in any of the other fandoms that I've been in. It's always been very sort of cutthroat. And
definitely.
That's just why I love the furry fandom. I do get this sense of community and camaraderie with everybody.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, one thing that really did attract me to this fandom was the fact that people seemed to be nice. I
that's
mean,
it.
a time where I wasn't maybe the best. I was kind of a sad person trying to find myself. A young fur. I guess you can still call me a young fur, although I feel old.
You don't
just trying to find where I am, what I'm doing with my life. And these people, you guys seemed accepting of me in all my weird, wonderful ways. So yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I do love about the fandom. You can be literally as weird as you want, and like.
That's it. Yeah.
That's so
exactly.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, Finn have done some weird things.
Burrito, I think
burrito box banned anyone.
Yes,
the burrito chat.
I think as long as we're not hurting anybody, I think we do tend to be very accepting of of nationalities and of sexualities,
and of what things we do out. I mean, there are some things that what things we do outside the fandom can be, when we tell the people who are in the fandom, I have had people who have said, oh, you are interested in that, so that's kind of weird. But also some people will say, it's interesting. And sometimes it's the people who are have a more negative response to what I really am. Like, dealing with... I'm more of a transport side than a furry. It just so happens I have furry friends, and therefore... It's sort of like I have an interest, but it's like I'm less into the fandom than some of the others that are in here.
Yeah, boys. Shut my name out there.
I get constantly lost, so we're fine.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like this isn't this is the only fandom that has drama. You've also got Bus Simulator. It's well documented within my circles about how the bus simulator community, OMSI 2, there is a lot of drama. There's a lot of people about how created content has been leaked and stuff like that. It's it's all a mess sometimes. But
I was expecting you to say there's drama in and bus due to bus fest. That's all I
there is also drama within the bus community, like most notably in the bus community, because there are certain individuals who can be negatively negative to other people, and
but that's in every fandom in general.
Yeah,
and there's also really
here.
Yeah, there's also like really strong opinions. Some people have really strong opinions on other people. We've all even met them, and that does happen. Although this doesn't just happen in fandoms. When you're in fandoms, sometimes when you see the behavior of other people within fandoms, because it's so concentrated, you can you'll be able to spot things a lot easier than let's say if this happened in just general workplace or life. It's
also it's all online, which
not completely.
Well, majority of it. Most fandoms are online based, and it's great. You get to meet people from all over the world.
It's certainly the easiest way to connect a lot.
Yeah,
is
exactly.
online.
It's a modern world.
Can I just do?
I have nothing against. But I'm just saying. I've talked to many people about how what you type can come across differently to someone else.
Yeah.
Tends to.
That's because there's no
because there's no emotion in typing.
Yeah. There's no
exactly.
face.
Yeah.
There's no physical face to deal
Can
with.
I just do a shout out from
Because
the chat?
wording is one thing, but how you say that wording
Shout out.
can change it a lot.
I think their name is pronounced Venrillo.
Yes.
Venrillo.
Venrillo.
Yes.
Shout
Venrillo.
out.
We're going to do a shout out.
He wanted
Say
a shout out. So there's
say
your
hello
shout
to
out.
Electric Shark.
Hey.
Sharky.
Hey.
Two notes.
Shark's a loyal follower.
Loyal follower.
He's a good.
Yeah, if anybody
He's a
has any
nice
questions in the chat, shoot them out and we'll try our best to answer them
And
for
not
you.
just about furries.
Yes.
I actually would want to see a lot more about how other fandoms are dealing with, because it's, you know, the furry fandom is like a small subsection of what parts of us are. Like, for example, for me, it's a small subsection of what I am, because my main stuff is all on transport. And you know, there are other people which are in the fandom who have, you know, who dabble into other who dabble into separate fandoms, and they don't like set foot completely in one. With the furry fandom, however, I personally feel that sometimes there are some people who not some people.
Oh my gosh, are we just going to sit here criticising other fandoms?
No, there are some people.
Nice.
No, there are some people in outside of the furry fandom who
so specific.
really. You really think I'm gonna diss it all?
Go
No,
on.
I'm talking about how when you are speaking to quote unquote people who aren't in this fandom to explain, oh, you are in the you are in furry fandom, it can be a bit but
they're portrayed negatively as well.
It's about because the portrayal of fandoms outside the fandom can vary between fandoms, and it can adversely or positively affect how you are viewed. And so there are times personally where I think that I don't really state, I don't really state to some friends that I'm a furry. It's not like personally, it's like it's not really something that I would blatantly say out loud. But it's like it's just it's there, like, but because you have to remember how extensive a fandom affects your life. Because if the furry if the furry fandom isn't like excessively affecting excessively dealing with my life, in real life, not necessarily online socially, because it's much easier online to split yourself between two faces, really.
Basically, yeah.
But like in real life, there are some friends who I say, "Oh, I'm a furry," and others I just don't really talk about it. And for those who I feel comfortable with sharing that to, I speak to them about it and stuff like that, and then I can start cross-checking with other fandoms, cross-checking with normal situations, quote unquote. And yeah, and also there's also another thing. It's like it's trying to separate what the meaning is between what you are passionate about, what your hobbies are. And what your fandoms are, what you are in terms of what fandoms you are in, because those can differ. Like, you can be passionate about, furry things, like suiting, stuff like that, making creative things and art, but you don't necessarily have to be within the fandom. Because, sometimes, for some people, fandom social hierarchy can be a bit toxic.
For me, like the anime fandom, like there's people who they would say like, oh well, I'm in the I don't know, like I'm in the Black Butler fandom, whereas I like the show, but I would never say, oh well, I'm in the fandom, because for me, I find some fandoms to be incredibly toxic. Like if I see a rabid fan base, like for example, for Steven's Universe, like it looks like a good show, but the fandom legit terrifies me. So I won't touch it with the barge pole, and then I'll wait probably 4 or 5 years, and then go, oh well, maybe I'll watch that show that everyone recommended to me like years ago, and I'll probably really enjoy it. But at the time, it's the fandom that they can be so passionate about the things that they love that it just it's
ruins
just
it for everyone
it's not
else.
good. It's not
Yeah.
good. No.
Granny, is the one thing I want to know about the anime fandom you're part of is a lot of that down to cosplay, or is it just
Yes. Oh God.
fanfic? Is it, or is it, or what's more prevalent in the anime fandom? Is it the cosplay or like fanfic?
I would say it's probably 50-50. I'd probably go more with fan fiction. There are some people who they can be, again, like they're legit terrifying, because if you say to somebody, oh, well, I ship Captain America with Bucky Barnes, for an example, and then
one person disagrees.
exactly, somebody else comes along and they take it as gospel. Their head canon, as they call it,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
gospel. Especially there's some TV shows, like some animes, where canonly two characters will be together, and in fan fiction they'll write that person with a completely different person. And if you disagree and say, "Oh well, canonly," they'll go, "How dare you?" You know, I'm shipping Yami with Yugi, and that's just how it is. You know, it doesn't matter what the creators say. You know, your creators don't know anything. Fan fiction is gospel. But for me, again, I'm coming from like the cosplay side of things. Cosplay is quite cutthroat as well, but I tend to find more with cosplay is if you if a character has a canon outfit design or a canon way of acting, and you are not portraying that character, or if your costume is inaccurate, then you can get some quite hefty criticism for it. So
oh my gosh, I find cosplay so cool. I mean, I'm not like part of any kind of anime fandom or such, but I've been to a couple of conventions. Oh, well, 2 conventions around my area. Mangas, and there are loads of cosplay people, and it's honestly so fascinating how they are able to, like, most of those are made by themselves, right?
yeah.
People spend hours making them, like, time and effort. They should be praised for the work,
See,
like, rather
I've
than
got 2 friends
destroyed.
who I'm gonna name drop them. Their names are Claire and Al, and they have
hi,
spent
Claire.
Name dropping.
they have
It's only the
spent
first episode.
thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds on their costumes. And I was actually telling a friend of mine that Al spent about £3,000 on a costume for the characters from Dragon Age. There we go. And the costume was legitimately made by a guy who produced armor for Game of Thrones, and things like Merlin and
oh, cool.
and this costume is a work of art. It is amazing. It's real
You
armor.
frame that.
And this is just how crazy they are. It's with cosplay. It's either they do everything sort of ridiculously OTT. This is an actual costume that would work in real life, or they go the other way, which is I just bought this plastic bag from Netto, and I'm cosplaying somebody from Chernobyl.
Netto.
Okay.
Yeah.
For other viewers, can you explain what Netto is?
Netto
Do I
was
want to know?
a
Yeah,
very
you
very
should know.
cheap superstore. Whereas if you went to shop there and you got caught with a Netto bag, you'd be ridiculed by your peers at school mercilessly.
I was about to say, is it a worse version of Asda, shall we say?
Oh god, Asda's posh compared to Netto.
What?
It was kind of.
Never heard of Netto.
It was kind of like
non-existent anymore.
It was I think they're defunct. I think there's only a few in the country. But yeah, they're kind of like how Aldi and Lidl were before they were cool to shop there.
I'm checking on the Wikipedia of Netto, and they are a quote unquote a Danish discount supermarket operating in Germany, Denmark, Poland, Sweden, and previously in the United Kingdom, both as a standalone venture until its sale in May 2010 to Asda, and as a joint venture with Sainsbury's between June 2014 and July 2016. Netto is owned by Salling Group.
Well, there you go. But yes, Netto
Fun
is
facts.
It's one of those fun facts from UK history.
Fun things that I did not know. No.
I mean,
Every
it
day
could be
is
worse. It could
existed.
be
I am
Bunnings.
too young.
Bunnings housewares. So Bunnings
Oh,
I'm gonna
Finn knows it.
I just got excited.
Bunnings Warehouse. Yeah, Bunnings Warehouse. Yeah, that was a interesting part of British retail history.
I'm gonna shout out to Pip in the chat. Hello, my
Yay.
ginger.
Ooh, hi, Pip.
Yes.
We have Pip, we have
Yeah.
Micklemen, we have Shadow 80828.
Hello.
And Shark
Is
is
that your
still
fiance?
here. I'm surprised. Does
When
anyone
are
remember
you surprised?
Duke said he was joining.
Speaking of
Oh, he's got
British
shut up.
retail shopping, everyone remember
Remember what?
Woolworths?
Oh my
Oh,
god.
Yes. Yes, that was a thing.
No.
I remember doing that
No, I
as, like,
don't.
when I was very little, like before they went down.
Cool story, bro. There's a Woolworths across the road from me.
I've never heard of it. What do they sell?
Oh,
Everything.
Think of WH Smith.
They
With
were
Pick a
WH
Mix.
Smith, that's
like
cool.
the pound stores
Pick a
before
Mix.
Poundland.
Yes.
Okay.
They
Chad
sell
Valley
a variety
Toys.
of everything.
my friends used to steal from Woolworths.
What?
Pick
The
a
Pick a
Mix,
Mix?
yeah.
Wow.
Oof.
Everything from Woolworths.
You could
We live-
literally just go to Woolworths.
We
and
live
get
in a poor
anything
area.
you need.
Yeah.
It might be of shady quality, but it's there.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Parker pens made excellent Christmas
fair enough.
presents.
I remember younger years when I was buying really it was basically an auxiliary toy store. That's what Woolworths was, along with the Pick a Mix, and obviously with trying to get back onto topic here somehow.
We have gone on a tangent, guys.
Oh yeah, this is
Yeah.
another thing we do
Doesn't
go on
mind. We
tangents,
don't
but
mind going
a
go back and onto topic.
west.
Back then, I used to get toys of cars, planes, sometimes even
Oh,
models.
he goes straight back to transport. You're
buses
classic,
and
Oz.
stuff.
You are classic.
God damn
And,
those trains.
It's
Not my problem.
and it was like and obviously when you're young and you have that, it's interesting to keep the stuff that you've bought when you were younger, and then seeing it as you grow. Once you've grown and you come back and you
That's one
see
of the
all of this, things that you've not touched in like 10 years. For example, I've got at the bottom of my bed, I have a sketchbook that I have not touched for, shall we say, 10 years. I drew 10 years ago. I used to draw 10 years ago.
Oh my gosh, you actually did art.
Yes, I actually did art. It was about 8 to 10 years ago.
Can I just say for everyone watching the podcast, that beautiful art that you are constantly staring at was drawn by me. I did it in about 2 hours. That was my time limit. It was quite intense. I'm sorry for the
it's
not so beautiful quality. But it's my art.
I mean, Minnie is intense, but that's a different story.
What do you mean? Always intense.
Pip is asking us in the chat what other fandoms we're in. So I know we've done this earlier on in the podcast, but do you guys want to list through some of your hobbies?
I was thinking more, because me and Granny did talk extensively about what stuff we are, what we've been.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking more the rest, like Finn, Minnie, and Fenris. What have you guys, what have you guys been in, or like, even just like your hobbies per se?
Well, who wants to start?
I think Finn should, because he's been really quiet.
Yeah, Finn.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, and the other things I do, I wouldn't necessarily call them fandoms, but definitely communities. The first community I was part of was to do with music, as I had coordination difficulties. So some specialists recommended my mum to give me piano lessons, and a few lessons in, my piano teacher told my mum saying that I actually have musical talent. So I kept it up, kept it going.
Talent?
Yeah. So yeah, the music community for me has definitely been the most impactful. I started it from an early age. I keep doing it. It's what got me into a really good school. It's got me scholarships and stuff, and I've met loads of good people in it. People that do music are usually slightly weird, not as weird as the furry band, but
Slightly weird.
yes,
Slightly.
yeah, just slightly. We all get along really well, which is great. So yeah, that has probably been the most impactful in my life. Another community that I am technically part of, I used to get a lot more involved. Sadly, the university course I'm on has kind of like pushed me away from it a bit, is the woodworking community. Yeah, I love woodworking, surprise, surprise.
Finn can make anything out of wood.
Yeah, probably.
Not everything, but yeah, like there's a few Facebook groups I was part of. It was mainly like you ask questions, people that have done it before, I give you answers, vice versa. There's some woodworking jokes and stuff. What you would expect in a fandom, really, just normal talking, but
All that
just people doing woodwork and carpentry. So I wouldn't really call it so much of a fandom, but rather more of a community.
Still, fair enough.
But yeah, and then of course the next thing that I know that I have been part of is the furry, which has impacted me socially.
Yeah, friends.
So yeah, very socially, and it has drawn a fair amount from my bank account as well.
Gosh, yeah.
Oh yeah, what's left of your bank account, rather?
So that is your fault.
Say just because, yeah, I don't like talking about my finances.
Yeah.
I love talking about finance, but not my
He
own
spent-
finance.
Not your own, shall we
Spends it
say?
all on flapjacks and donuts.
Enough
No
to live for a
shortbread.
while.
We are not
but
sponsored by Donuts, by the way, but please visit them. They are a really good
We
donut
are.
shop.
Please visit
located-
Donuts.
thinking of that,
located
They give
in
us discounts.
Nottingham, located in
Oh,
Nottingham, Derby, and Leicester. They also sell their donuts in Chesterfield as well.
donuts is great.
What
We're
is
not
this?
sponsored by them.
Thinking about that,
We are totes sponsored by them.
We
I've probably
wish.
spent like between 500 and $1,000 since joining, just from art and travel to meets and going to Costco.
Cost.
Yeah,
I only
that's
said Costco.
Costco is
Costco
partly
So,
my
yeah,
fault.
means
that amount
that
of money,
you are
which is
poor.
a lot. But yeah, like the thing about the faux fandom is that I'm happy. It makes me happy. And the only other thing that I've recently been getting involved in is business and networking. So I meet
Yeah, business.
people, and something that I do believe in is that you act most like the 5 people you spend most of your time with. So if you spend, if you're the 5 people you spend the most time with are negative people, you're more likely going to be negative.
Yes, definitely.
Agreed.
Mentality. So I'm doing a lot with that just for like self-improvement. So this explains why I'm weird, first of all. Also it explains why I've got a business mind, because of all the networking that I'm doing. I'm seeing business people. So yeah.
Yeah, lovely.
Minnie.
Oh, me next. Okay.
Yes.
Well, I don't really have much of a life, so, well, no, I have too much of a life. I have full-time school, too many A-levels, and way too much pressure on getting good grades. So let's just say I haven't really had much time to do other things with my life. So I'm really only involved in the furry fandom. I think that's enough.
But what about your
I moderate
hobbies?
everyone. So yeah, hobbies wise, I mean, I do art. I do a lot of art. Because I find it really relaxes me. I just I like art. I draw.
Clearly.
Yeah, I don't make money from it, but that's fine. I don't really want to. I don't want the pressure.
Make a PayPal.
I can't. I'm not 18. Sorry, I'm
in
too
2
PayPal.
years. In a year.
At 2 years? Who said I was 16? Oh, so you're meant to be my best friend.
I
Do you know how
meant
old
to
I
be. I'm joking.
Okay. But otherwise in the furry fandom, I got the opportunity to make my own partial. Freaking awesome. I didn't swear, I only did.
Nearly.
Yeah.
I ain't firing you, but come on.
You can't fire me, it's fine.
That's fine, Minnie.
Minnie's
You
on
can't
fire.
fire.
Okay,
You
cool.
can't fire the other half of the podcast title
Mutiny.
in episode one of
awesome,
all
Minnie.
places.
Oz and blank.
Actually, Oz and
Okay.
Blank would be a very, very interesting podcast if
We can't call
if
it
you-
Oz and blank.
if anything happens. But yeah, actually, Fenris,
right.
still here?
I'm still here, yeah.
Yes. What
Great.
are your other interests and hobbies and fandoms outside of the fuzzy place known as furries and sweaty people?
Yes.
Well, I don't know
right.
much about sweaty people, but
That's
yeah.
me. Mini
Right.
moist right here.
Yeah. Actually, like the only fandom and community I've mainly been involved in the past year or so. Been in like a year and a month and a bit. I've been part of the, and it's been absolutely brilliant. I've been to many meets.
Aw.
I've personally met Oswick and Finn and Minnie. I haven't met
Yeah.
Granny yet.
Not
Oh,
met
We haven't
me.
actually met. We actually
I'm
met
dark and
face-to-face.
mysterious.
Yeah,
and
I
full of
haven't
hedgehogs.
met you.
I am.
That's beside the point. No, I've met many amazing people. They come from the Coventry meets to Birmingham and my more local one, the Southampton Furry. Okay, I don't get.
First.
Oh, and Chelt first, yeah.
Can we
Yeah,
stick
the,
Chelt first in there?
The
my-
7 or
my
so
meat.
people that turned up.
Yeah, that was a lot of people. Okay, it was a lot of people.
It was enough.
It was enough.
It was too many. It was 7 too many.
I
7 too
mean,
many.
the recent place that we were in did start to get a bit crowded.
Yeah.
And
So I'm
I don't
not.
know about you guys, but I love having my burritos with space. But
Space burritos.
Burritos.
Are we going to
Crab.
dabble
I
into
don't
my
want to
aerospace
start
degree?
eating them.
Are you going to start dabbing into my aerospace degree and
Oh
just
my
like
gosh,
try and
Finn.
get some stuff?
Yeah.
Finn, I ate a burrito 2 weeks ago. It was
No.
everything I ever wanted.
I actually had
From
the
that burrito.
opportunity to have a burrito like last
Did
week,
you?
and I didn't take it.
Who
I
are
ate a
you?
taco for the
Oh,
first
I'm
time
sorry.
today.
Was it at
I've
the
been
Bell?
eating
Yes,
tacos
please.
since I was born.
My flatmate made tacos, and I don't understand them. They're just like
What, it's a
crisps,
shell and you...
crisps with meat in it. But the crisp
Meat.
smashes into a
vegetables.
million pieces when you try and
No.
bite it. What is
No.
the
The thing
point?
is, right,
No,
Granny. The
you
thing
have-
is, you
it's a
can you can get soft shell.
That's what I ended up doing.
No.
Yeah,
Get
soft
the
shell.
hard shell
Amazing.
ones. Who are you?
Soft
That
shell
just
is
sounds-
basically it's a cleaner way to barely cleaner way to eat a
No.
taco.
Can I just say, I've had 17 years of experience of eating tacos, and I can tell you that the hard shell ones, you can eat them without spilling any of
Yeah.
the filling.
Yeah.
It is
Lies.
entirely possible.
Lies
know.
and
It's-
slander.
It is entirely possible.
done- My
From
family does it. Experience.
yeah, is your
17 years of
experience
practice,
from the United States of America or Mexico?
Look,
Yeah,
we
Minnie.
make our own tacos. We don't go to Taco Bell. I've actually
No,
never been.
But
But-
it's not Taco Bell in this case either.
Learning how to eat it with such talent is from America. Yeah.
Also, do not. Yeah, we're not advertising Taco Bell. We don't
We
advocate Taco Bell.
We
Um,
do.
Actually, there's actually a Taco Bell in.
In Southampton.
No, there's one in Portsmouth. There's
Oh,
one in the
Wait,
the
they
main-
have them
the
in
main-
England since
Yeah, I know.
when?
Since
No, yeah, I've
it's-
seen them
since
around. They're
about
just
2
not
Have I
years.
very
seen
common.
them
2 years ago.
under a rock?
Yeah, you have
And
been living under
We
a rock.
have
I'm still
we
waiting.
have a
to get
question
back.
from the chat.
We have many
Who?
actually.
I
The
love
wolf
talking to you.
the wolf shadow says,
Hey, Duke.
What would you say shines in furry fandom? Like, what do you think is its strong side or something?
Community.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
Family.
Amazing.
Beautiful fursuits.
Beautiful people, or rather,
Yes.
lack of judgment.
Like,
Yeah.
I was
In
saying to somebody,
comparison.
a few weeks ago that for me, there was somebody that I watch on Instagram, and they are a younger person, and their parents are actually furries, they're fursuiters, and they are teaching the child how to make fursuit heads, and that's like the family business. And somebody's like, "Oh, well, I wouldn't let my child do that." And I'm like, "Hang on a minute. To make a fursuit head, you have to be a fabricator, a seamstress. You have to be good with
You have
measurements.
to be
You have to
very
do a lot
talented,
of.
can I just
You
say?
have to do a lot of different skills in order to do that. So if somebody said to me, "Oh, I think one of the things about the people in the furry fandom is that we have a huge range of skills, and a lot of those translate into real life as well. You take those skills into any job, and they'd serve you really well."
Yeah, no, agree. Very much agreed. From experience, I know it's not the easiest of things, and it does require many skills. And I'm very thankful for having done GCSE textiles before attempting anything that could possibly look like mini moys. Because it definitely gave me the confidence of working with materials and just knowing how. Because using a sewing machine is quite scary at first.
It is.
But once you get the hang of it, like I can now take a sewing machine completely apart and put it back together and just like fiddle with all the buttons and stuff. And it doesn't scare me anymore.
I'm going to continue because we got really off topic.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Sorry, we started talking about textiles.
Talking about tacos. No.
Tacos.
A taco.
It's how I pronounce it, right?
Posh taco.
Calm down.
Posh
Calm down.
No, I'm not
Probably super small.
I'm not part of many other communities. I'm in the furry one. I'm also in a gaming clan for Black Ops 4 on the PlayStation 4.
Ooh, fancy.
As I'm a CWL or COD World League captain. I run a team. My fiance is also a leader of the clan.
Ooh.
And
couples who game together stay together.
It's true.
Sorry.
But the other things my hobbies are photography. Well, I've done some for the furry fandom, and also airsoft, which isn't really much to do with the furry fandom, but
you could do it in a fursuit though.
I could
imagine.
That's cool.
Going out, running around, and shooting people is such a stress relief. But if anyone would just go,
I mean, the closest thing to that I've done is that laser tag, laser games.
Oh yeah,
it's called.
Yeah.
That's intense. I did that like once.
I've never
in
done
my
that.
life. It's quite stressful. You run around and shoot people. It's
people
stressful.
in the face. Murdering thousands.
You have to get to their chest because that's where the
slaughtering them in the dark.
Yeah.
Okay, Granny, this is getting dark.
Playing the Russian anthem behind me.
Airsoft is a bit more realistic. I'll say a bit more, much more realistic. We're actually using realistic-looking weapons, shooting plastic pellets at each other at about 3 to 500 feet per second. And if it hits you in the forehead, it hurts.
Oh gosh.
Yes.
Can I just say, I don't really feel. We're gonna go off topic here, but you know what? We have some time to waste. I don't really feel like. Actually, no, we don't have enough. It's fine. I don't think that we should be educating people on how to shoot others.
Kill them.
It's fine. We're not from the US.
We have to murder all the humans. I mean,
I know you're not from the US.
The enemies.
It's a hobby. If people want to go out and do it, they can. And
I understand that some people take it as a hobby. I'm not saying all people who do airsoft are bad people. Like that's not what I'm saying. But I just say because there are definitely there's psychological studies that state that if children are seeing violence on TV regularly, they'll go off and be more
I'm
violent.
screwed then, aren't I?
We're all screwed then.
Oh,
aren't we?
damn! Watership Down in the 80s and Playing Dogs and
Watership
Oh.
Down
I
is the
remember
good. Is the good.
Doesn't
Like,
look
the
that good
first
for me at the
years of
minute.
Someone's life is their most influential years. So what they see is
Yeah.
what they learn during those first
No,
years.
exactly.
Yeah.
That explains a
Which is
lot.
why so many people usually end up like their dads or mums when they grow up, just because of those first 7 years.
That is
Yeah.
ageist, and I take offence.
Well, if you look
Sorry.
back to the
You should be.
80s and 90s cartoons of like Tom, I mean, I grew up watching Tom and
Tom
Jerry.
and Jerry.
I don't know. No,
Tom
if
and
you
Jerry
look
is-
back on
is
it,
for sure.
it's so violent.
Tom and
Tom
Jerry is
started
harmless
in the
fun.
30s
No,
and
it's-
40s, let
Yes.
alone the 90s.
But it's still
Sorry.
like within our range of, you know.
Well, I watched it as a child, and as a child, I thought nothing of it. I went back and watched some of it now, and I'm like,
Now
oh
you
my
just want to
gosh.
kill mice with a hammer.
Literally, it's so violent.
Run those little furry buggers over with a train.
I mean, you could.
It's so bad.
Yeah, Minnie
Oh,
likes
gosh.
bonking people apparently. So.
Bonk.
Bonk is my
Bonk.
new favourite word. BONK. Bonk.
There was a lot of cartoons like that back then
No,
that
I'm
were
not-
quite horrifying.
Catch
Now
the
that we look
Pigeon,
back on it.
Wacky Races. The
Courage the Cowardly
Flintstones.
Dog.
No, all these nice things.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
I
yeah,
just-
I mean,
I
I
just
was
think of everything I used to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning to watch.
Apparently, there was a Pizza Hut ad in the chat, and
No,
I've
I
been
have
told
no
that we
idea
must
about
discuss it.
Oh yeah. Sometimes in the hour it can Twitch can do by accident an advert. I did not know this.
Shall I do it?
I got an
I'll do a dramatic reading for you guys.
But
Okay.
This isn't just any Pizza Hut ad. This is an Oswick and Minnie podcast Pizza Hut ad.
Yes.
the irony is,
One-
I actually went to M&S earlier.
Wait, I'm really confused by this Pizza Hut.
Smothered in cheese
No,
and
but-
dripping with tomato puree.
basically for the people who are watching, if they don't have Twitch Prime, basically every now and then they will get an advert because obviously
We're
sponsorships and
peasants.
stuff like that. It's like YouTube. If you don't have YouTube Red or YouTube Prime or whatever it's called, every
It's
video will
YouTube
have an
Prime
advert.
now.
Yeah.
Is it YouTube
Yeah,
Prime? I
keep
can't
it
remember.
to
Also,
Yeah, sorry.
yeah, it can lead to adverts. Also, this is a genuine question. For those who do Twitch or whatever, can you tell us when we can how we can schedule adverts?
Never.
There is no way of doing it. I don't think.
Because if we can, then it will be a lot easier to then just.
If we can schedule a specific advert at a specific time.
Oh. Well, guys, I
Do
assume
not.
that
Oh,
we're
that's
only
typical.
podcasting for an hour, right? So we've
Just-
got 5 minutes left. of this
No,
half
it
hour.
doesn't have to be an hour long. It can
Oh,
be long.
it's not just an hour. Oh, gosh, I thought
Domingos.
we
It's
were
as long
looking
as
for some
necessary.
kind of-
For now.
Okay, sorry. I was going
So
to
we're not
cut it
as time
short.
constrained, but we do want to move on to how any advice we can give to our listeners at 2156. Any advice we can give to our listeners as to what have we have learned from being in fandoms. I know there's some we've dabbled on it here and there, but is there any specific advice or specific experiences that you can pinpoint and share?
I mean, I've got one.
Go for it.
It doesn't help if you're a mod, but if there's drama, because times when there is drama, quite a few people do sometimes get involved, and it does escalate situations.
I think we could do a whole podcast on just the struggles of being a moderator.
I mean, that is
Every
a
day
whole
challenges,
podcast in
because,
itself.
I mean, I've been a moderator for just over a year. Oz has been moderating for God knows how long. Finn's had nearly a year, like 6 months or something. So yeah, we've got experience under our belts of many different situations, and I definitely agree that if there is drama going on between two people, the last thing you need to do is just pipe in your own little word. Like, don't pick sides. Just get out of it. Run away. Go on to a different chat. We don't want to deal with even more people. You know?
Unfortunately, the thing is, a lot of the furry fandom are impressionable
children,
young people,
Young
and of
people,
course,
not necessarily children.
Well, the thing is,
younger people my age.
You will find that they'll get very defensive and very argumentative, and they'll just fight back because that's what they think is the best way to do it. They just get really defensive. The best form of defense is just to not rise up to what they're saying, because you're just feeding the attacker.
Yeah, and it gives them fuel. It gives them more motivation to increase their attack. Because they know they want a reaction and they will get a reaction. But again,
it makes life 20 times more stressful for us because I'm just sat here
and more stressful
doing
for
my
you as well.
work.
Whoever
I'd say as well that there's like zero tone on the internet, so if you're reading something into what somebody said that isn't there, like before you write a retort, that you just sit back and reread it a couple of times, and then you can even just ask them and say, look, did you mean it this way or did you mean it that way? And 90% of the time, the person who's posted whatever doesn't mean it in any negative way. It's just because there's no tone online. You know.
Yeah, true.
There's no facial expressions. There's no way that you can read into what somebody's saying.
Especially sarcasm. Sarcasm does not
exactly
translate well on the internet, and that is particularly notable. I mean, for me, whenever I need to type sarcasm, I always use brackets, exclamation mark, close bracket to show that it's but it works for my friends. But
or emojis. Emojis work lovely.
Yeah, emojis. Yeah.
I feel too old.
I feel too old as well.
Cheerful. I'll put my
shut up! You're all babies. Be quiet.
Come on, emojis are amazing.
There is such thing as an emoji keyboard, by the way. An emoji keyboard.
Oh my god!
Burn it with fire.
Actually, I may actually pop up the emoji keyboard at some point. Give me a moment. Continue talking.
Okay.
Does anybody have a unconventional fandom that they're about?
Well, other than transport.
Other than furries, obviously, and trains.
And trains and buses and planes and. I mean, like I
think Oswick is the ruler of that question.
No, actually, I know. No, it's more like there are other people that I know that have other fandoms, or like interests. I mean, I know one of my friends who has a noted interest in lampposts, and and when you think about it, most people think, lampposts are like, and street lights are not street light the bus, street light the object.
No one thought.
No, I have to put that out just in case. Because the street light is a form of beep bus. And
okay, move on.
but like when I was speaking to him about it, and just speaking to him about his interests and how that has affected, how not how it's affected him, but like what discrepancies and stuff that you can find when you go into it. It can get quite I find it interesting to hear about how other what aspects aspects of other people's fandoms.
I mean, lampposts. That's quite like.
It's quite specific, I'll say.
What about
You said you wanted the most obscure.
Lights.
It's
Minnie,
quite
do you
obscure.
have anything?
But actually, I was about to say, it's interesting to see
Uh.
how, differences in street lights, differences in, what kind of lighting they use, and how old things are being changed. Old
Now we're
like
just gonna
gantry
talk
lights
about
are being
street lights.
Now we're going to
changed
talk about
into
lampposts.
old things
This is
changed
the
into new
lamppost
LED things,
podcast.
and
Yes.
you know
You're part of the lamppost fandom.
when you
Do you
Mixing
have a
light
lamp?
Gosh.
when you
I have
talk about
moth.
these, when you actually talk about these things, it makes you think about how
Makes me question lampposts.
yeah, it makes you question things that you wouldn't normally question. Let's put it, that is actually how it is. And some people have interest in various things, and now everyone's typing lamp in the chat.
You know what? I have no interest in becoming a lamp
I'm
woman.
talking about what other people that you know, maybe
I'm
not
Okay.
necessarily
just
yourself,
saying.
because I don't know
We should pass
anything
this
about
question
things.
along. So, who else has a weird interest or hobby that they haven't already mentioned?
Or a friend that has a
Yes.
very specific or obscure,
Okay,
not
I
necessarily
have one.
weird.
I have one. My friend is obsessed with supernatural. Actually.
Your
And
connection
have you heard of
is
supernatural?
your connection is
Chopping out on us.
Okay, just ignore me then.
Oh, Minnie, we can't ignore.
So you said your friend has a specific interest in.
Supernatural.
Oh God.
Oh yes.
That show, TV show.
Ugh.
She's part of those crazy fandom people. Oh yeah.
No.
Fucking love her.
No.
She's obsessed.
Shout out to Minnie's supernatural friend.
Shout out to Minnie and her supernatural.
Just
friendship.
shout out to me. You know what? Just shout out to Minnie. We don't have to mention anything else.
Anybody else?
Nope.
I used to play D&D, Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh,
That's not necessarily weird.
That's in fashion now.
Yeah, it's getting into fashion now. I mean, don't be
It
like,
is.
Yeah, it's quite interesting to
Well,
note how it is going.
I had a few friends when I used to work with them used to play D&D, but because of work I can't do it. I can't commit because it was on a Friday night and I had no idea if I was going to be home from work on time. Because I could be halfway up. I could be halfway up the country, so I've had to pull out and go. Look, I can't do it. But
I've always wanted to know how is it played.
how's it played? You're
Yeah.
around a table. You'll have one person who is what's known as the DM. He is the dungeon master. He creates the scene. He has a story. He knows what he wants done. Like how the story should progress. The players will have a character. We go off the rule book of the edition that we're doing. We were playing 5th edition.
Okay.
So we'd all have a character. The dungeon master will have our character sheets or a copy of our character sheets as well. And you'd basically play out the story and the scenario that the dungeon master creates. So he'll set the scene. He'll basically say what's going on, what may need to be done, and then you have to. I mean, you progress the story, but everyone does it in their way.
I've always thought it's quite it's not a fixed game. It's quite.
Oh God,
it's quite
malleable.
Open. It is quite malleable.
I love how I just used the word malleable.
90% of the time, the DM's like, the DM has set up like this amazing story. Like everyone will go over there, and then they'll go into tavern, and they'll find all these clues that I have laid down for them, and I've spent hours writing this story for. And then the players will just go, actually, no, I'm going to ignore all those clues that the DM's just laid down, and I'm going to go over there and pet this dragon. And yeah,
but
I love it.
That's what happens.
Funny.
By the way, I found
it is as the Wolf Shadow 8028 just pointed out. 80828. Remember?
Just say the Wolf Shadow. We know it's Duke.
The Wolf Shadow or Duke. It is an imaginative game.
Duke.
It is
It
the
involves
imaginations
creativity.
of everyone,
That's quite cool, though.
and it is
I always wanted
such a laugh.
Fenris, did you have a random, strange fandom that you wanted to talk about?
He just talked about the
He
D.
just did, the
I was
Dungeons
literally
Dragon.
just talking
Oh,
about
sorry. Sorry.
Also,
Can
with you guys, remember when we were talking about emojis earlier?
Yeah,
I
emojis.
am now going to put up on the screen the yes, we had the emoji keyboard. The emoji keyboard.
Please
Yes,
put
Guy
my signature
creates
emoji up there.
yes, Guy creates an emoji keyboard that we may never use. Yeah, there we go. Look, the person who made it is named Tom Scott, and
Pomshka.
There,
Tom
legend.
Scott. Tom Scott.
It's my illegitimate child.
Yeah, Tom Scott.
Oh,
Yes.
is that kind of emoji?
The man with a red shirt, who I will also link in the link will be placed in the Twitch chat for the emoji keyboard, the art of the bodge,
Did you
and
need me for anything, Isaac?
but yeah, that's a thing, and yeah, it's just to say that these things have happened, and you know there are little intricacies that people go deep into. Like I was about to say fandoms, going to fandoms, there are a lot of details that people go into that a lot of like intricate small details that people get really obsessed with. And sometimes it can be
That's
good
what's
because sometimes it can be good. But at other times people get obsessive and can cause clashes of opinions and cause quite a bit of situational issues, shall we say.
Ain't
Oh
no
my gosh,
drama.
you covered my art.
Ain't
You
no
covered my
drama.
beautiful art
No,
with some emojis.
No, it's not covered.
It is. I just looked.
No, it's not covered. I removed it.
It's fine. I'm mildly offended.
There we go. It's back.
Yay. Oh, I just dropped my laptop. It's fine.
Stop dropping your laptop. That'd be
It's fine.
It didn't fall from a very big height. It's all right.
But yeah, is there any I mean, clearly the podcast is close towards the end of its
Yeah, I feel like we're just rounding it off
but
here.
yeah,
else
as I was
say.
saying, anything else? We've already covered as much as we can. For something like the floor's now open for anyone to state anything that you need to state about this topic before we do our closing situation.
The floor is open. Take the mic.
Take the
Who
floor.
will grab it?
Take the floor and retile it.
Everyone, do a dance on the disco floor.
I am definitely doing a dance.
I was
Absolutely.
actually just dancing. Good thing you can't see me dancing.
And
I'm sure.
Finn, you can stop now.
So when
Has
does this become the
anyone
music
considered
podcast?
getting? I don't know if we're allowed to say that word on this podcast.
Anyway, by the way,
Basically, no.
Never.
No, I am asexual, so that has never.
no.
We know what you're on about, but no, none of us are planning on getting one.
Also,
No, thank
finally,
you.
actually,
What are
this
we
is to the
getting?
floor,
Wait,
i.e. the chat room.
Wait, what?
Opinion on
What?
Nick the Singing Dog.
On what? What's a Nick the singing
I-
dog?
Never
I
heard
have
of it.
no idea.
What's
I
singing
have no
dog?
idea. I've never.
I have a murdering hedgehog.
Yes.
Oh, Nick the singing dog is.
Oh, that
Lumpet.
I've heard of, but not listened to. So, my opinion is irrelevant.
But by the way, yes. Open it for about as long as you have like 30 seconds to put anything else on the chat.
Type quickly.
Type any questions you want
Like
to
when
ask
you're
us. Anything you want to state about how
Jeez, Granny is typing at the speed of light.
how this
Whoa.
how I was about to say what you want to anything you want to add to this podcast, anything you want to comment on what we've said.
I would say one of the things that I say I've been in a lot of different fandoms and different hobbies, and one of the things that I would like to sort of say to anybody as some advice is that if you have friends within a certain community, and for whatever reason, if you fall out with those friends, don't let it ruin the fandom for you. Don't let it ruin the hobby. Don't give up the hobby just because you've fallen out with certain people within it.
Yeah.
Don't give up on something that you
Agreed.
enjoy just because of certain people within it. That's one of the biggest lessons that I've personally had to come to terms with. Is people fall out all the time, but just don't let it sour your life.
Yeah, and always
Be
remember that
happy.
there is always a way to find friends. There's always a way to find people who, who will click with you, and don't focus yourself solely on this particular group. If things go wrong, because things can go wrong, and I've seen myself go through several friendship changes and several group changes throughout my time in this fandom, and throughout the time in the transport sods. So it's
I mean,
it's like it's not necessarily a circular thing, but it is it can be a revolving door sometimes.
Yes, definitely.
Sometimes you'll see some sods for like a few months. Sometimes you'll see some sods for like 10 years. It can vary, and also this is another specific thing. Don't be so fixated on getting a relationship as well.
oh my
Yes.
We've
god.
seen
Yes.
Oh,
we've seen that
yeah.
happen
I
quite
could
Or
not
often.
being
say that
popular.
enough.
Yeah,
I mean, I think I'm a perfect
popularity in
example of this.
relationships
Don't
don't
do it.
come through
Don't be desperate.
yeah, don't be desperate basically.
Please.
Just
Go
enjoy
I'm my
the
best.
hobby. Enjoy
Yeah.
enjoy the people.
being creative and being artistic and having a good time and just experiencing life
Yeah.
and talking to new
Yeah.
and different people. But yeah, don't go into any fandom if you're expecting to be super popular overnight or
This is not gonna happen.
it's not. No, you're only going to
It
set
takes
yourself
time.
up.
That way.
And you have to, and most importantly, be genuine to yourself.
Yes,
Be
definitely.
yourself,
Yes.
because
There's
if
no
you
point
fake
trying to be
your
fake just to
face,
impress.
it will
Yeah.
show
If
at
people
the end
don't like you, well, screw those people.
Exactly, and
I
that
mean, what I
mentality.
Pick on
say
people that
to
make you feel good about yourselves,
Yes.
not people that make you feel bad about yourselves.
Definitely.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Minnie has a
This is
specific thing.
Something that I say to a lot of people when they are like struggling with bad people.
Yeah.
I just say, if they make you feel bad, get rid
Yeah.
of them.
And if they make you feel bad for having certain hobbies and certain fandoms, then a friend wouldn't do that to you. A friend would want to support you as long as those fandoms are healthy and legal. If your friends are making you feel bad about stuff that you like or have an interest in, then they're not very good friends. Don't let people make you feel ashamed of the things that make you happy.
I mean, what I tend to say, I have dealt with a whole bunch of people who are going to change my personality because I want to be like this, or I want to be more like this. I just say, be yourself, because it's by being yourself that you get loads of friends who actually like you. And to all those people who are going to tell you you're fat, you're ugly, they don't like what you're doing, blah, 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 well, they can just go away, because you know what?
Yeah, get rid of them.
They're a waste of time. I mean,
Yeah.
I say it in a more rude way.
They're
Roger
relevant.
them backwards with a
I
rusty
cannot say
spoon.
those words here. I will tell them to politely go away.
Tell
Get
them
out of my life.
Yes.
Oswick, there is a really good question in the chat from Vemrilio, and I think we should finish. That should be our finishing question, because that's really good.
Go for it. Read it out, please.
Do you want me to read it out? Okay.
Yeah, please.
They say, question, what would your gang names be?
Ooh. Mini moist.
No, you
Bonk
don't.
King Mini.
Something I've never thought of.
Asian.
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 Wait,
Or
gang names. What
Shark.
do they mean?
Poshy.
Shark fin.
Shark
Poshy
fin.
could be another one.
Shark fin.
I love that.
And Fenris, what would your gang name be?
I literally have no idea.
I just
can't
said
think of
Asian, so
You said Asian.
D&D Slayer.
D&D Slayer. I have no idea, honestly.
I think.
Oh, I know that in
I
like
can't literally think
in
of
like films they have like these, and especially in comedy films when there are gang members involved, the big boss has some like really cute and cuddly name.
like
So
Bunny.
I feel like I should be called Shortbread.
Short.
I think that's a better name.
Okay,
My name's
yeah.
pretty gang as it is because I am Granny Pomshka,
Granny.
notorious baby eater.
Oh,
Notorious baby
that's
eater.
turd
That sounds
Notorious
very.
baby eater.
That sounds
Oz
very
can just be called
Ukrainian.
Starbucks.
Not even Russian, just Ukrainian.
Question: Can Oz pronounce my name?
What?
Pronounce it.
Pronounce what name?
That
Says
name.
Ty_Tass.
Titus.
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 Titus Aurelius Morellas.
Titus,
Lloyd
Greek god.
Scott. Yeah.
Or a Greek demigod.
Ah, yes. Anyway,
Are you guys actually all silent, or is it just?
No,
like
I
I'm
am
just
actually
reading
reading
that.
through. I'm reading through the chat.
Would you buy crack off Granny Babushka?
Oh my god.
But yeah, just reading from the chat from Cell M3. Here's something about quote unquote. Here's something about people trying to put me down. One time in the rail station of all places, I was wearing my pink purple shirt, and this older guy came up to me and said, quote unquote, quote, why the hell are ya wearing a shirt like that, and why you got long hair? And
Ooh,
quote,
that is.
end quote.
That
I
is.
said, I am enjoying myself and expressing myself. Him, you bet you're wearing a thong too. And then Cell M3 said, you wish you could see that, don't you? When
Go Senecom.
yes,
Go Senecom.
it takes a lot of guts to get that
Backfire.
yeah.
You'll
but-
just. My advice with this is you just gotta click your fingers and go big on peasant.
Yeah,
And just
it's
strut
like
out of it.
you know, if you are going eccentric to an extent of, you know, expressing what you are, you know, go all out. If you need to go all out, go all out. If you feel comfortable going all out, then do so, because, you know,
Life is too short.
Yeah, life is too
Yeah.
short. People will judge no matter what, but who gives
Exactly.
a care in the world?
Be yourself.
If you
Don't let other
are
people judge you.
comfortable with
Like,
yourself, then go
maybe.
ahead. Which is why.
Fudge other people.
And if, like, for example, like, people are comfortable with their sexualities, for example, so they go all out in Pride in London. I didn't go because it's a traffic issue, but that's
Of course. Any way we can relate this back to traffic.
Yeah.
Again.
no. The actual reason is I can't be asked to go into central London. That's just
All
me.
the buses and trains.
Oh.
Although
Let's
to be
try
fair, it is serious. It was actually it would be an ask to
I'm
get in.
sure it was a serious thing.
I
The
don't
fact
want to
that-
go into central London because of the traffic.
Oh,
Well,
gosh.
apparently because of Pride one time, I actually had to walk about a few miles to get my
God,
bus home.
imagine having
That
to
was
walk like a dirty peasant.
And on that note, I
And
think
on
we
that-
should round this up.
Yes, I think we should
and,
round this up. Thank
get it
you to
done.
our guests,
Yes.
Fenris.
Thank you. I do want to just do a quick correction. I said Titus was a Greek god. I was wrong. It was actually a Roman emperor. Just doing a
Oh
quick
gosh.
correction.
Okay, well that's good No.
Thank you for the correction. And
thank you, Finn, for joining us.
Yee.
And thank you, Granny.
All hail our mighty overlord, Limpet.
Yes.
And
It's been great fun.
hopefully
I've
Granny
had a
will be
great
giving us
time.
links to the hedgehogs in the chat, just for context. And thank you, Minnie.
Oh, thanks. Thank you, Oz.
Oh,
Well
thanks.
done.
And quick word for our sponsor, the WLTM Transport blog. Visit them on www.wltmtb.co.uk for the latest coverage of transport news within London, blogging specifically about changes and things like that. The latest post being
www.
the latest change being the latest post being about the bus route to 11 changing operator. This blog
Of which no one knows about. Yes. Sorry, it's a sponsor. I'm not meant to make fun of them.
You do realise you're pissing off the sponsor at this rate. The
I'm
sponsor.
a sponsor.
It's funny how the sponsor is also the host.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
Funny that,
Yes,
isn't it? No
I am
dodgy
sponsoring.
dealing.
I am
Yeah.
sponsoring my own podcast with $10. Being
And
handed
I
over
don't
from
get
my
any
left
of that
hand to
money.
my right hand. I might do
And
a
can
tweet
we
on that
just
later.
add-
But in all seriousness, though, I thank you guys all for listening, and thank you to our guests joining in, and thank you for Minnie for being Minnie again.
It's really easy to be myself.
Yeah, it's very easy. You're very easy. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
And goodbye.
good night.
Goodbye.